participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM. Good morning to you on your Wednesday. It's July 5th, 2017. This is the first Wednesday of the month, and we have with us Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliot as he joins us the first Wednesday of every month. We are also joined by Sergeant Brandon King. He is of the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit, and we're going to talk a little later with Sergeant King about the important work that he does with the Jonesboro Police Department. But as always, let's start off with asking Chief first how are you doing, and then just kind of talk about some of the things that are going on with JPD.
Well, good morning, and doing quite well today. It's a muggy day outside. Looks like storms are moving in, but it's still a blessed day in Jonesboro, and we're happy to be here.
All right. And what are some of the things upcoming with the Jonesboro Police Department? Blake, when we was talking off the air, you mentioned that we just completed completed a round of police testing, and how did that go?
We did. After the testing cycle was over with, we ended up hiring 9 officers. So as of yesterday, or as of Monday this week, we are fully staffed of 160 sworn officers in the police department. These new candidates will spend the first 8 weeks in training at the police department, and then at the end of August, they're going to go to the police academy for 13 weeks. Then after that, they'll ride another 3 months with a field training officer. Then they'll be cut loose on their own if they pass everything we mentioned.
Okay, and one of the questions I want to ask, I don't know if I've ever asked you this before, it may have been a while since I've asked you this, is whenever you do hire new officers, what piece of advice do you give them as a veteran officer?
Well, when you start in, just it's your integrity. That's the thing that'll get you through life is your integrity. If you have no integrity when you come to the job, you're not going to last on the job, and you're not going to be successful. And we don't want you. This position is a position of trust and authority, and we want officers to live a lifestyle, off duty and on duty that they can be proud of and not bring disgrace to the badge.
All right, and we definitely do have some quality officers here in the city of Jonesboro. I see all the time where citizens are complimentary of their interactions with police officers, and we want to definitely commend those officers and commend the work that you do as the leader of the Jonesboro Police Department.
Thank you. I agree. I think we have a great bunch of men and women that serve and protect the citizens of Jonesboro, and we're very fortunate.
All right, and what does some of the events coming up? I know off the air we mentioned about a cleanup that's going to be coming up later on this month, and we're going to actually have you guys come back later on this month to talk about it in detail, but just kind of give a little info just to kind of get people to start talking and buzzing about it.
Absolutely. Dr. Charles Coleman, our city councilman, is organizing another cleanup for north side of Jonesboro. That's going to be on Saturday the 29th, and the designated area we'll announce a little bit later on the later show. But for the areas north Jonesboro, there will be another cleanup. So if you have anything that needs to be removed from your property, be thinking about it and getting closer to this date to make arrangements to get it to the curb, and the city will come by and we'll get it picked up. And we're just trying to make a little bit of difference in various parts of town and getting the town cleaned up. And this is one way of doing it. But more important, it gets the community together, working together. And a lot of times people, they don't get out and associate with other neighbors, and it's a chance to get to know your neighbor and interact with your neighbor, along with law enforcement and other city officials that participate in this event. So it's a good chance to get out and socialize and visit and get to know each other. And plus, it makes the community look a little bit better.
And that's one of the things that you have strongly believed in as Jonesboro Police Chief is community policing and bringing the community together. I can remember when you first started, one of the first things you did was to start reaching out to churches and community leaders to try to help bridge the gap in the community, and putting on events like this has definitely helped to do that as well.
Sure.
So just kind of give your thoughts on, now that you've probably been in a position a few years now, your thoughts on how the community has come together through the efforts of the Jonesboro Police Department.
Well, in September, I've been chief for 3 years as of September 14th, and I think we've made quite a bit of headway in the community as far as bridging the gap. are we there yet? No, we're not there yet. There's always work to do, and there always will be work to do. And but you know what? We take it one section at a time, one class at a time, one interaction with the community at a time, one event at a time, and we're starting to build those bridges and hopefully breaking down some of the barriers and tension that existed before I took over.
That's definitely a good idea. Just to double back on our new hires on the station, we mentioned the requirement of ride-alongs before they actually cut loose. What are the requirements of the new officer while they're riding?
Well, during their last phase of training, again, it's a 3-month ride-along. They'll ride each shift for a month, and they're evaluated by a field training officer. At that point, after all the training they received at that point, they're pretty much being critiqued daily on their daily interaction with the public, how they conduct themselves. Is it safe? Are they doing it according to policy procedure? Are they professional? And things like that. So this is their final kind of a check rides before they're cut loose on their own, make sure that they can do the job.
Okay, and they also go through interviews. Is that before or after the ride-along?
No, the interview is back during the hiring selection process. We start the process out with a testing. We do a written test, do a physical test, and if you pass those two, we do a background, and if you pass all of those, then you go into an interview, and then after the people are interviewed, we'll place them on an eligibility list.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, a while ago off here, we started this last testing cycle with 56 applicants. And by the time we got down to the interview process, we were down to 10.
10.
So we have very tough requirements. We look for the best applicant possible.
So alongside those 56 applicants, what do you think are some of the reasons why they didn't make it? And will they be able to try it again?
Some of them can try again. Some may have something in their background that washed them out. Sometimes drug use will definitely wash them out. Depends on how recent their last usage was and what they had used. But again, there's just various things that pop up in the background that could wash them out, and sometimes there's things that they don't disclose and get caught about lying in the process. Then that would disqualify them.
The integrity.
The integrity goes back to integrity, and I used to do polygraphs on applicants back before I got promoted, and I always stress to them there's no perfect angel in the world. Everybody has made mistakes in life, and nowadays. A lot of people have tried marijuana, and we don't hold that against the applicant as long as it's something that's in the past, so nothing current. But we want the best applicant, and their integrity starts during this process, and we just ask that they come in and disclose everything that's asked for about their background, and we do a very in-depth background investigation on these people. And we'll go back and talk to family members and workers and teachers and neighbors, and
do those people also go under a background check? The people that you, I guess, double check with them, such as their teachers, do you do a background check on them as well?
No. We're just gaining information on the applicant. So again, we want the best applicant possible. So we go through a lot to get a few, but I think what we end up with is quality applicants. And, with all that being said and done, there's some of them, once they get started, they realize that they're not suited for the job, and they'll leave. So, sometimes when they hire in, they go through all this training and spend a little time on the street and realize that, this is not what they want to do.
Is that frustrating to you to see someone go through all of that and then just turn around and leave, knowing that you've invested all of these resources in training an officer?
It is. I mean, when we get down to that point in time, there's up to 8 months of training before they're really an asset to the city. When I say an asset, they're being out on their own. So, you go through all that process, and then they turn around and leave you. Yeah, it is kind of frustrating because, I need somebody out there on the streets protecting the citizens of Jonesboro. But it does happen, but it's better that person realize it and leave before they get themselves hurt or somebody else hurt. If they don't want to be here and their head's not in the job, then they probably need to leave. And on the other hand, if they're not cutting it, then we will get rid of them.
Speaking with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott, if you have a question for Chief Elliott, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. You can also leave your questions and comments on our Facebook live stream. And we have a few shout-outs. Shout out to Cora Evans Hester, Brittany Lewis, Sergeant Cassie Brandon, and Officer Nathan Coleman. And before we bring in Sergeant King, because I know he's just itching to get on the mic, but we're going to definitely give him an opportunity. But since Sergeant Brandon chimed in, that's another thing that you created during your tenure as police chief, is the community policing relations officer, which Sergeant Brandon does. So can you tell us a little bit about her position as the community liaison between the police department and the community?
Yeah, Sergeant Cassie Brandon is our community outreach officer, and when I took over again, it was reaching out. It was all about reaching out in the community, building these bridges and breaking barriers. And I knew it was going to take somebody dedicated to work along with me to accomplish this. And so Sergeant Brandon came to me with the idea of the Citizen Police Academy, and I was already in the process of researching the Citizen Police Academy. So we got together and she developed the curriculum, and we got that program kicked off, and I think it's been a huge success. And at this point, we've graduated over 150 citizens of Jonesboro,
including myself,
including yourself. And so that program's had a huge impact on the community, and very positive impact for the police department. And I think it's helped to educate the community and break down some barriers. But her position again is, not only that, but she is in charge of our testing process and recruiting process, and anything else event-wise going on in the community, then she's involved in. So I keep her very busy during the day, during the evenings and weekends. She has a very busy schedule.
And of course, if you would like more about the Citizens Police Academy, you can go to the website jonesboropolice.com, or look up Jonesboro Police Department on Facebook. And if for no other reason, you can see Mrs. Norma Farrell decked out in SWAT gear. It's worth it alone just to see that. All right, we're going to now bring in Sergeant Brandon King. Sergeant King is with the Jonesboro Police Department Internet Crimes Against Children's Unit. And I recently met Sergeant King at a meeting of the Kiwanis Club, in which I spoke to the Kiwanians and their guests about the work that he did, and it was very informative. So we're going to let Sergeant King kind of just tell him a little bit about his background, and first of all, how he got involved with the ICAC unit.
Morning. Like I said, my name is Brandon King. I came to Jonesboro Police Department in 2007, I believe, worked patrol shift for about 5 years or so. 2012, I went to Criminal Investigations Division, and just working general assignment cases, robberies and financial crimes and that sort of thing. I believe it was about a year or so later, I became involved in a case. It was a pretty big deal. There was a child who was involved with some pretty horrible circumstances, and we ended up, Jonesboro Police Department, with about 10 other agencies around us, arresting somewhere around 15 people. And most all of that stemmed from a cell phone that this little girl had. And it really piqued my interest into the internet crimes against children and the digital forensics. And I reached out, and my captain allowed me to get some training in that field, and I just kind of followed it through with it. I found myself, I guess 2014, assigned full-time to the Internet Crimes Against Children unit.
Okay, and just kind of describe what a typical day is like for you in your job, without giving away any secrets or anything, but just a typical day of what you may run across.
I'm not sure there is a typical day. That's any police work, but I think especially with our field. There are several guys in our office doing what I do, and we cover a lot of ground, really. Like I said, we do the digital forensics, which is a large part of our day anymore. If someone has cell phones or computers or tablets and that sort of thing that they think may hold evidence in a case, they bring it to us and we try to get that information off for them. Also, we are responsible for proactive investigations regarding crimes against children. And so we are watching known networks that are known for trading child pornography and things like that. And we receive a lot of what's called cyber tips. They come from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And, if there's something that has been seen going on around the country and they believe that there might be a nexus here to Jonesboro area, they'll send it to us and we follow up on it.
Now, you mentioned that at the meeting that the Jonesboro JPD ICAC office is like one of the very few in the state that not only do you cover cases in Jonesboro, but surrounding police departments, the sheriff departments, other agencies. If they have these kind of crimes, they'll bring it to you to investigate.
In the end, if it happened in their jurisdiction, they're responsible for the investigation, but we're more than happy to help out wherever we can. We have a great deal of specialized training, and we have equipment that a lot of these smaller agencies just don't have access to. And we have expertise that a lot of surrounding agencies will come to us and just ask us to help out. We're always glad to do that.
And I imagine one question that you probably get asked all the time is, how do you mentally be able to do your job sitting at your equipment? You're having to go through a device and you're seeing these images of children being exploited and even being violently exploited. How do you be able to handle that without breaking down or letting it get to you emotionally?
I don't know that there is a way to completely avoid that. It's not uncommon. I'll be sorting through a lot of images and you come across something that just absolutely shocks you, and have to get up, just get away from the computers for a little bit, and we'll work on another task for a while and then come back to it later. And you just learn to kind of turn it all off and disassociate from what you're seeing.
Mike, did you have any comments?
I wanted to know, how long after your training and interview process did you find your niche within the department?
It took quite a while. I never dreamed when I hired in 2007 that I'd be doing this job now. I didn't know this job existed in 2007 when I hired in. So it took about 7 years or so where I end up in the job I'm in now.
Okay, so did that take for you to rotate around the different, opportunities that were there before you actually came across this one?
I believe there's no doubt that I was supposed to be where I'm at now because I caught certain cases and gained knowledge and experience in certain areas that, like I said, I never dreamed of this, and I certainly, had I known of it, I would not have wanted to be doing this now. But certain things fell into my path that kind of steered me to where I'm at, and I'm thankful for it.
Mm-hmm. So you're doing what you're good at.
I hope so.
Once again, we are speaking with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott and also Sergeant Brandon King. Sergeant King is with the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit of the Jonesboro Police Department. If you have a question or a comment for either gentleman, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080, or you can leave your questions and your comments on our Facebook live stream. Now, at the Kiwanis meeting, you mentioned something about every picture having a unique ID that you all can use to actually, track these photos when they're passed around. You mentioned that there's actually really only a set amount of photos that are known, and that the criminals that have these photos actually, they kind of keep them to themselves. They kind of consider it a prize or whatnot. And that was one of the things that blew me away when you mentioned about the pictures having the digital ID. Can you kind of explain that process?
As far as how it happens, that is way out of my league. Mm-hmm. Like I said, there's mathematical algorithms that go on, but I know that if I take a picture and upload it anywhere, mm-hmm. it is automatically assigned this. It's called a hash value. It's mm-hmm. basically it's like a digital thumbprint. Mm-hmm. It is unique to that image or that video, whatever the case may be. And it doesn't matter if I upload it here or if I upload it in Hong Kong, it's going to have the exact same hash value. And so once those images are recognized and known to be child pornography, then they're going to the databases, and so every other investigator around the country is also looking for that image.
And I remember you mentioned that if someone is uploading this information, their internet service provider will flag it, and then they will notify your office that, hey, we've got a user that is downloading this information. And then, well, we're going to get ready to go to break. So when we come back from break, we'll have Sergeant King kind of explain what happens from there. This is Community Conversations. We are speaking with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott along with Sergeant Brandon King. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Are your little chicks about to fly the nest? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. School is coming to a close, and that means some households will be child-free for the first time in 18 years. For many moms, the empty nest syndrome can be really difficult emotionally. And moms who've invested all their time and energies into raising their children also face another challenge. When the kids fly the coop, mom suddenly turns her affection and attention back to her husband, only to find that he's not even in the same tree anymore, so to speak. But it's possible to become lovebirds again. Remember, your family first.
For more resources on today's topic, go to markmerrill.com. The Family Minute with Mark Merrill, helping families love well.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
House of Details, located at 3217 Herb Street, Suite C, is a proud supporter of KLEK, offering detailing on any type of vehicle: waxing, clear coat protection, basic wash, hand wash, shampoo, interior cleaning, buffering, headlight restoration, pickup, delivery, and more. With a motto of, anything mean, we can clean. Details available via Quentin Bogard at 870-273-5187. House of Details on Facebook and houseofdetailsjonesboro.com.
From the KLEK Community Calendar, OESPHA, Eliza Murphy, number 395, presents Fish Fry, Saturday, July 29th, 2017. Plates will include 2 pieces of fish, spaghetti, slaw, bread, and dessert. This will take place from 11 o'clock a.m. until 3 o'clock p.m. at the E. Boone Watson Center, 1005 Logan Avenue in Jonesboro. More information is available at 870-919-6634.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK with our guest, Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott, along with Sergeant Brandon King. And Sergeant King is with the Internet Crimes Against Children Division of the Jonesboro Police Department. And before we went to break, I was asking Police Sergeant King, Michael, can you help me out? My mind went blank.
Oh, we were talking about the hash value on the photos and how exactly it happens and the processing of which one is, I guess, arrested for certain photos.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Okay, well, that's a good launching point.
Well, like we mentioned the hash values and how it's assigned to these images or videos or any file, basically, when it comes into contact with the internet. And like I said, there are a certain number of known images and videos that we're looking for. If, for instance, a internet provider catches some of this material on their network, federal law mandates that they have to report that to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, as we refer to them. And then they will look at the content and try to determine where it came from originally. And if it here in this area, they'll contact us with what we call a cyber tip. From that point, we began our investigation, looking at IP addresses and the information that is provided to us, and try to figure out a residence and then hopefully a person who's responsible for that. And then we'll pay them a visit. And at that point, we turn more into turn our forensic world, and we'll look at devices that were in their possession and try to determine where these came from initially. Was this the guy who we contacted, the one who's responsible for it? That's our goal.
Okay, and we speak of internet providers and computers of that nature, but does this include telephones as well and cell phones?
More common than not anymore. It's smartphones and that sort of thing.
Okay, and how have these organizations or internet providers been able to assist in, I guess, retrieving missing children?
Absolutely, and that's our goal. Is if there is a child who is being victimized, then we want to get them out of that situation, and I think a lot of those cases originate with a cyber tip. We've been very fortunate here in this area that I haven't personally encountered that. I hope I never have to. But yeah, that's I know around the country there are a lot of children that are recovered by Internet Crime Against Children units.
And we definitely, once again, thank you for the work that you do. Sergeant King, one of the things that we talked about off air was that there may be some people that are concerned of, what if I accidentally stumble upon a pornographic image, will I be arrested? Or what if my computer gets hacked and someone dumps, some of this image on the computer without my knowledge, would I then be in trouble?
Well, just stumbling across some of this stuff, it's highly unlikely that just doing legitimate internet searching and that sort of thing that you're really going to find child pornography. In the off chance that you do, and we get notified, like I said, that's when we switch over to more of our forensic capacity, and we're going to look at the devices and determine the origin, where it came from. So if someone hacked your system and put these images on there, we're going to see that. We're going to be able to tell whether or not somebody else injected that in somehow, or whether you were the one who downloaded it.
And that's definitely comforting to relieve, because I'm sure there are people who may not be computer savvy that may be worried that something like this could happen, because some people can do some very mean things to try to be out to get other people. Chief Elliot, you want to add anything to what Sergeant King has said about his work?
No, these guys do a great job back in their office, and as Sergeant King said, they are highly trained, and we have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, and a lot of it's provided to us free through the different federal agencies. So again, we're very fortunate, and we've had officers or agencies from various parts of the state to come to our forensic labs to get their cases solved, because I think we probably have the best forensic lab in the state right now.
And it's definitely good that we have that resource available to protect the citizens and definitely to protect the young children out there. Once again, we are speaking with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott of the Jonesboro Police Department and Sergeant Brandon King of the Jonesboro Police Department Internet Crimes Against Children Unit. I'm going to go ahead and bring Mike on to kind of see if she have any questions or comments.
I did have another question. I wanted to know about, excuse me, if you ever work closely with the volunteer program that's here that actually is sworn in and I guess speaks with the judge and does certain
Mikasa.
Is it Mikasa?
Mikasa, the court-appointed special advocate.
It could
That's
possibly
CASA.
be that. It's CASA? Okay,
Yes.
So the way that they go in and they take
Yes,
care of
that's
the
the
children.
advocate for the child.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you ever work closely with them?
We don't often. I think after we conclude our portion of it, if we conduct an investigation and there are arrests made and then it goes through to the court system, then I think CASA would probably come into play, maybe an advocate for some of those victims there. But we don't interact with them typically.
Okay. I just imagine that could possibly help their work in getting some of the children out of certain situations.
Probably so.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the door's always open. If they have something that we can do for them, especially on the forensic end, then we're certainly glad to do that also. So they know our resources and our capabilities. And so if they have a need, they can certainly come to us.
Definitely.
Sergeant King, I know the main focus of your work is the crimes against children, but are there any other internet-related crimes that your office investigates as well?
We typically don't do many other investigations, and we have people come to us all the time with concerns about, hacking incidents and things like that. But like I said, our area of responsibility is the internet crimes against children, so we try to stick pretty narrowly to that.
Okay, and could you let the listener know, maybe without going into too much detail, of a unique case that you've run across in your career?
Oh goodness, most all our cases are pretty unique in comparison to most of police work. I wouldn't know where to start. Our victims range. Well, they're all children, and every situation is definitely different. You've got different victims and different dynamics with their offenders, and I'd be afraid to go into details on any specific case because they are all children.
I know you had a quote at the Kiwanis where you said, I can't remember specifically, but about the nature of the crime, where I believe everyone is a victim. Can't remember your specific words, but it actually resonated with everyone in the audience.
If I recall correctly, I think it was something along the lines of this is the only place I've seen in police work where 100% of our victims are innocent victims.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
And it's true. These kids, through no fault of their own, have ended up in these circumstances. The law recognizes that children cannot legally consent to these things because they're not mentally, psychologically capable of making those choices. And so it's just a horrible situation anytime it happens.
And another thing that you mentioned was that sometimes that people who do what you do run into resistance from especially the cell phone operators. You mentioned the case about how they wanted to get into the phone Apple, even though this was not a pornography case, and Apple refused, and and then Apple ended up suing because the police actually found someone who was willing to assist them into getting the information that they needed off that device.
Yeah, I think that we were talking about the shooting in San Bernardino several years ago. The FBI got involved. It's kind of a cat and mouse game. We've got providers who design the software that we use to get into the cell phones and all that, and they are constantly trying to get access to more devices, and the manufacturers, Apple and Motorola and all of them, are constantly trying to increase security for the sake of privacy and selling more devices. And so it's a constant back and forth. We're trying to get evidence in these cases, and they're trying to keep it from us.
So I imagine that can definitely make your job a lot more difficult.
It is very frustrating at times.
So it's kind of a question of where do you actually draw that balance between privacy and protection. Is probably going to be something that's going to go on probably into the end of time.
Yeah, it will, and I completely understand the privacy argument, but you've got to understand too that we're not just grabbing people's phones arbitrarily and going through them. If we go into a device, it's because a judge has found probable cause to believe that it is involved in some way with a crime. And so then we have followed the constitutional process for getting a search warrant, and we're trying to do things that way. We're not just looking for what people are doing day to day.
Micah, did you have any other questions?
Not at this time. I'm very interested in knowing that this is actually a part of what you all do. I had no idea.
Well, and of course, I'm going to do a quick plug for the Citizens Police Academy. This is one of the many things, if you do CPA, in which you can learn about. When I took CPA, they took us on a little brief tour of the ICAC unit. We saw the equipment. Same with the evidence room, the room where they do the crime scene analysis, the canines. Like I even got to handle a canine, well, more like the canine handled me. But they have the range where you can go out and shoot the various weapons. And of course, my favorite part was the ride-alongs, where you actually get to ride along. And I actually did a ride-along on each shift, first, second, and third, so I could get a taste of what each shift goes through. There's also the simunition, to where they stick the gun in your hand. It's not a real gun, it's a paintball gun, but they put you in a situation where you you got them coming after you, and you got to react, and you're either gonna make it or you don't make it. And also the SWAT, again, if you want to see a picture of Ms. Norma Farrell in SWAT gear, definitely go to the Jonesboro Police Department page on Facebook. And if you do know Ms. Farrell, give her a call when you see that picture. So she probably gonna get me for that. But you definitely do learn a lot in the Citizens Police Academy, and the things like what Sergeant King mentioned, you actually get to see a little small taste of it. Of course, it does not make you an officer, but what it does is give you a greater understanding of what police do and why they do it. And that is definitely something that I learned from CPA, especially when it comes to traffic stops. You know, in the news now we have all of these incidents with traffic stops, and some of these traffic stops go bad. And after riding along with an officer and seeing what he does, what his mindset is, the steps that he's taken while he's doing that, it definitely gave a different perspective. And it's something that I would encourage each and every person out there listening to do, to become a part of the Citizens Police Academy. And one thing that I can say is that the police, they welcome feedback. They are open-minded. If you don't back the blue, that's okay. They still would like for you to be a part of it. If you have concerns about how police do what they want to do, they want to hear about it. They do give you that opportunity to have that dialogue and to have that discussion. And I'll even bring up, I won't mention which CPA class this is, but there was a CPA class to where there was a video that was shown of a traffic stop, and some of the minority members of the CPA class were offended by some of the language that was used in this video, and they brought their concerns to Chief Elliot, and they actually found a different video to use to illustrate that traffic stop. So again, I just want to stress that the Citizens Police Academy is a great avenue if you want to learn and get a better understanding for what police officers do, and it's definitely a lot of fun as well. And they have a good graduation ceremony. You actually get to walk across the stage, Chief shakes your hand, hands you a diploma, and get to take your picture and feel a sense of accomplishment. So that's my little shameless plug for CPA. I'll let Chief take it over from here.
Yeah, again, that's a great program. Kind of getting back to the Internet Crimes Against Children section, you know, one thing we didn't touch on is parents watching your children, what they do on the internet and what they do on these smartphones. Too many times these kids get involved in starting a dialogue with a predator. They may think they're talking to a young person of their age when they're actually talking to some 30 or 40-year-old man that's trying to solicit them and get them to meet them somewhere. And too many times these kids get drawn into the situation, and the next thing you know, they're out and about thinking they're going to meet somebody, and you know, been offered whatever, and then the next thing you know, it's a predator, and then this is when kids can get abducted and things like that. So we have investigated cases like that, you know, in our unit. We've had situations that we've had stings set up that these predators get arrested. So, you know, we're very vigilant about this, and you know, if you're going to be out here preying on the children of Jonesboro, then we're out here looking for you, and we're going to do everything we can to put you in jail.
We have another Facebook shout out to Brad Dillon. Appreciate you for checking in on our Facebook live stream. Appreciate for everyone who is sharing the video. Of course, this is why we do what we do here at KLEK, to keep the community connected and keep the community informed. And I'm glad you brought that point up, Chief Elliot. That was something that Sergeant King also did talk about in his talk about the role of the parents to watch their devices. You know, this is definitely a situation where you can't be the child's friend. You have to be the parent, and even though they may protest and say, well, I don't want you going through that phone, of course, you can always say, well, I paid the bill, so I'm going to go through it.
Right. They should. Yeah, they should be aware of what's going on and what images they're doing and downloading and sending, and you know, that creates another problem. I think the sexting is a thing that goes on now, and when teenagers or young adults start sending nude pictures of themselves to other people, then they're transmitting child pornography. So they're actually breaking the law. I'll let Brandon elaborate on that.
And that's become a huge problem in the last few years. I can't stress enough how important it is as a parent that, that your kids do not have a right to privacy from you as their parent. You've got to know their passwords. You've got to know what's going on in their phones and their tablets. They're not entitled in any way to have those devices. So if they won't give you access that you need, take it from them. You can imagine how much time that we invest on dealing with teenagers who are doing this, sending nude images out, and it ends up all over their school. Or, and that's aside from the ones that we deal with that actually fall into the hands of these predators. Best case scenario is all their classmates see them naked, and then they've got that to deal with for the rest of their high school career. We've got to do a better job as a whole of knowing what our kids are doing on these devices.
And Sergeant King, at the Kiwanis meeting, you mentioned that there's actually, I can't remember if it's a technique or a software that can, because I believe someone had asked, how did you tell if the image is someone who is a young adult, like 18, but may look like they're 13, as opposed to an actual child?
Well, we have got techniques that we can use. A lot of those that we come across were previously identified as children, and there's a lot of stuff out there that they are 18, 20-year-olds who look very young. I don't know of a resource for parents to use, but once it comes to us, if it's in an investigation, we've got several resources, and if those resources don't pan out, then we can reach out to pediatricians and that sort of thing and identify an approximate age for these people.
Okay, I know you mentioned that there's like the pediatrician can kind of look at the body structure, and there's certain ways that they look at it that allows them to say, okay, this is a child, or no, this is an 18-year-old that just happens to look younger than their age. Once again, we are speaking with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott and Sergeant Brandon King of the Jonesboro Police Department. We're talking about the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit, as well as several other topics. We do have a comment, so let's see what we have. This comes from Brittany Lewis, and she says, is it difficult to work with social media websites like Facebook when trying to do your job?
Yes, it is. Again, they try to limit the information that they give out just for privacy purposes, but they're still regulated by law. And so, I could have no idea how many times every month I have to send off search warrants to Facebook and Instagram and all these social media sites for information in a case. But once we have a judge sign the appropriate paperwork, they're cooperative and they give us what we're looking for.
So whenever you are you looking through the direct messages or plain comments? So how does it go?
It varies case to case. If it's something where we suspect an adult is actually interacting with the child, then we're looking at everything. Sometimes it's just a matter of we need to recover images that were uploaded to the social media, or a wall post that showed up. So it varies a lot case to case.
So is that also a procedure that's done with Instagram?
Any social media outlet, yes.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat,
MySpace.
Who uses that? I'm sure there's still people out there that use it, but what Sergeant King is saying on a serious note, that all social media is fair game. And with that, we're going to get ready to go to break. We are speaking with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott, along with Sergeant Brandon King of the Jonesboro Police Department, discussing ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children, and all matters of the Jonesboro Police Department. We're going to lighten up the mood a little bit. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about fireworks. Of course, fireworks are not legal in the city, but if you ride around, you definitely heard your share of fireworks. I'm going to ask Chief how many people actually got caught and arrested for using fireworks. Don't go anywhere. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Home ownership is an important factor in the capacity to build wealth, but there will be times in your life when renting just makes more sense. However, without smart planning, you could wind up spending more than you could afford and hurting your credit. Here's what to do. No matter who the landlord is, Get a rental agreement. This lays out both parties' rights and obligations and is an essential aspect in regulating potential problems. Read the contract carefully, including the fine print, and ask questions about anything that's not clear. If you're not comfortable with the terms and conditions, it's better to pass and look for another place than to sign and be legally bound to the contract. Inspect your home carefully on the day you get your key and make a list of everything that's broken or damaged. Request that your landlord either repair the problems or sign off on the list. This way you can't be held responsible for these pre-existing damages when you move out. You should always have renter's insurance. I'm Alfred Edwin Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
The McDaniel Law Firm, 400 South Main Street in Jonesboro, is a firm believer in justice and equality for the minority community. The McDaniel Law Firm has fought for our rights for over 44 years. The McDaniel Law Firm offers legal help for wrongful death as well as trucking and automobile accidents. Bobby and Brett McDaniel are available for a free consultation at 870-336-4747 or at www.mcdaniellawyer.com.
Arkansas Early Learning prepares children up to 5 years old for kindergarten by offering a secure learning environment, qualified teachers at several locations in Northeast Arkansas at no cost. Applications are available at arearlylearning.org.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
Starks Auto Plaza, your pre-owned superstore, is a longtime supporter of KLEK. 2829 Red Wolf Boulevard, Starks offers clean, reliable vehicles of all makes and models. Starks also offers no-hassle pricing, friendly service, financing options with approved credit. At Starks, you're always family, and our motto is, we never say no. 870-203-9980. StarksAutoPlaza.com.
KLEK 102.5 FM wants to be active in the community. If you or your organization is hosting a community service event, we would like to know about it and be a part of it. KLEK will promote your event on air, online, and on social media. KLEK personalities may also attend the event and provide music and or entertainment. Certain restrictions and availability may apply. If you or your organization would like to partner with KLEK to make the Jonesboro community a better place, call 870-277-1080 or email us at klek@klekfm.org. In order for a community announcement or church announcement to be aired on KLEK 102.5 FM, we ask that the announcement be sent at minimum 1 week in advance. Thank you for supporting KLEK 102.5 FM.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with our guest, Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliot, along with Sergeant Brandon King. Sergeant King is a part of the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit of the Jonesboro Police Department. And before we went to break, I said we was going to lighten up the mood a little bit and ask Chief about fireworks. Of course, yesterday was the 4th of July, and technically, discharging fireworks is illegal in the city of Jonesboro. It is a misdemeanor, of course. Obviously, anybody that's listening knows that didn't really stop people from popping fireworks. I know in my neck of the woods, pretty much sounded like a gun battle going down. There was so many fireworks being popped off. But Chief, just kind of tell us about the calls that you all may have got. Were there any tickets written, any enforcement actions taken in regards to fireworks?
Well, over the past several days leading up to the 4th, and been hundreds of calls on and complaints about fireworks being discharged in the city. And again, it is against city ordinance to discharge fireworks in the city limits of Jonesboro. And the penalty is a Class C misdemeanor, and it could go up to $500 in fines. But as of yesterday, we have not issued any tickets. We generally just go by and advise the people that it is illegal and to stop. And if we have to make repeat calls there, then tickets will be issued. For the most part, people comply, and we understand that people want to get out and celebrate. But on the other hand, there are people in areas that you may have military veterans that have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, that this could adversely affect, and you have people that own pets that it scares them, and these are some of the first folks to call that they're being inconvenienced, their pet's scared, or their loved one that's suffering from this PTSD is having issues with the fireworks, and so they're calling to get them to cease. So that's just typically what we look at, and again, the 4th is over, so if you got fireworks, put them up, and when you go break them out next year, then ask that you go outside the city limits to pop them off.
All right, we're going to go ahead and bring it back to Sergeant King. Sergeant King, is there anything else that you want to let the listeners know that we may not have covered? Because we want to make sure that the listeners, especially the parents, have the information that they need to protect their children, as well as any children or young people who may be listening or run across this video, tips to help them to protect themselves as well.
Well, I think we've already covered the basis of it. From our point of view, the best thing a parent can do to prevent their children being victimized is know what they're doing online. You've got to be aware of all their internet presence. Because most of it starts that way these days. It's easy for the bad guys to contact our children via Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or however, and they're vulnerable and they're easy victims, and we've got to stay on top of that.
And Chief, would you like to add anything to that?
Absolutely. Will say that we have several different handouts available at the police department. If, as a parent, if you're interested in any tips on protecting your child from internet crimes and things like that, we have a rack of brochures in the lobby at the police department on Caraway Road that you can come by, and it's free literature that is available to the public. So that is there for you.
All right. Micah, did you have any other questions or comments?
I just wanted to say, if you have any children or know anybody that has children, please share this video, because it could be incorporating some information that you don't know, or that someone that you do know could become aware of, such as the internet and child endangerment or pornography aspect of that, such as Facebook, Instagram. We need to be watching our children because they won't watch themselves.
You're absolutely right.
Very well said. All right, Chief, as we get ready to wind down the show, and let's kind of touch once again on, it's been a while since I've done this. See, Quabila holds it down so well that I don't even have to usually be here, but we do hope that Quabila gets better and gets back into the seat. But on things going on with the Jonesboro Police Department, we did mention the cleanup that is going to be coming later on this month, and we actually have Chief Elliot, who's going to be joined by Dr. Charles Coleman. They're going to be on Community Conversations on the 26th of this month, so you're going to get a double dose of Chief this month, but just kind of give them a little teaser of what's going to be going down with the community cleanup later on in the future.
Well, again, that's coming up on the 29th, and again, Dr. Coleman and I will be here on the 26th of the month, and to talk about the cleanup, and to be on the north end of Jonesboro. We will designate the area that we'll be targeting on this go-around of cleanup, and so tune in on the 26th at 9 o'clock a.m. and we'll let you know when and where and what all is going to take place and how to do it.
So are we all invited to
Well, everybody's invited. Some of the officers are going to be cooking hamburgers and hot dogs for the community, and again, this is a chance to make your neighborhood look a little bit better and have positive interaction with local officials and local law enforcement.
All right, and Citizen Police Academy?
Citizen Police Academy, I don't think the dates are scheduled just yet, but you certainly go to the Jonesboro Police Department website and look up those dates. They'll be posted here in the near future. And along with the application, if you're interested, you can download that and get it sent back in to Sergeant Cassie Brandon, who's our Community Outreach Officer. If you're interested in testing for the Jonesboro Police Department, we will test this fall. The dates are posted on the website, and along with the information that's required for testing and to be an applicant for the police department.
All right, so you definitely have heard it from Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliot if you have an interest in the police department. And of course, one thing I may add to that, if you're unsure, then do the CPA, kind of get a taste for it, and then they can help you to better ascertain is if you want to be an officer. Oh, one thing that we can mention, we just recently had a group of reserve officers. I know one of our own, Ms. Shanquetta Cunningham, her husband, Sanford, was one of the reserve officers. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Correct. We have a reserve unit of the police department. These are sworn officers. They work in a reserve capacity, so they're not there every day, but they try to put in about 8 hours a month, and when they come out to work, they're in full uniform, have full arrest powers, but they're not paid. It's a volunteer position, so these men and women dedicate a lot of time and training and to be part of this program.
And some of them, I imagine, they fall in love with it and to become full-time officers.
Absolutely. We've had several to transition over to full-time status. Just like in the CPA program, we've had members of CPA love the program so much that they've joined on. And this last class of CPA graduates, we had one. She went to work for the dispatch center. She had a complete change in her life and what she wanted to do as far as work after going through the program, and she's now a dispatcher.
And of course, I can tell everybody, the first day of CPA, when you introduce yourselves, if you give any inkling of interest in police work, Chief Elliot will give you the testing date. It's a testing such and such date.
Absolutely right.
Just as a friendly reminder.
Absolutely. If you're that much interested in the police department that you're going through this program, there's a good possibility I may get you recruited to join us full time.
All right, and like I always say, be the change in which you seek in the community. It's definitely our desire here at KLK to continue to see the police department to be diversified, to reflect the community, and not just for the sake of diversity, but we also want a diverse department full of qualified, dedicated officers with that word that Chief Elliot said earlier, with integrity to serve the community. So, as always, we want to thank Chief Elliot for stopping by the studio. And of course, if you have a question or a comment for Chief, Chief, let them know how they can get in touch with you.
Well, you can contact the Jonesboro Police Department. Administration number is area code 870-933-4614. If I'm not in, just leave word with my secretary, Amy Elrod, and she'll get the message to me, and I'll get back with you just as soon as possible.
All right, we got a couple quick questions, see if we can answer. Would it be, D'Angelo Clark said, we will be there for the community cleanup. Brittany Lewis says, do you have any programs or outreach activities for the youth?
Yes, we are working on a program this fall. Our Dare Officer Shay Racy is organizing a back-to-school event, and we'll get those dates out probably the next time we meet end of this month. In fact, I may bring Shay with me to start promoting that event.
But we're going to stop there. We got 5 seconds. But Brittany, call JPD and he'll get you more information. This is KLK. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. A program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK.